The death toll following Tropical Storm Fred stands at 5 for western North Carolina.
At least 3 of those killed were camping at the Laurel Bank Campground.
News 13's Hannah McKenzie spoke to the daughter of one of the victims.
Naomi Haney tells me her mother, Judy Mason, loved the mountains. She said this is where her heart was. Tragically, it's also where she lost her life trying to evade Tropical Storm Fred on Tuesday. A daughter's worst nightmare. Naomi Haney forced to identify her mother's body.
It didn't look like her, and can't imagine what she had been through to get like that.
Judy Mason, one of 3 Laurel Bank Campground campers, killed trying to outrun Tropical Storm Fred last Tuesday. Her mother had hazel eyes and scarred knees from 2 replacements, but there was something else Haney needed to see to make certain.
As a daughter, you've reached over your mom's hand so much that you know what your mom's hand looks like. So it was her.
Mason's body was recovered Thursday about a mile downriver from the campground after a last-minute attempt to evacuate with her beloved basset hound Penny.
Her vehicle was turned upside down. All the doors have been ripped off, and she was found pinned down by debris, face down. After seeing what my mom went through, I mean, it would be a miracle if they found Penny.
Haney telling us her mother refused to be picked up and opted not to ride out the storm from higher ground with fellow campers because she was fighting COVID-19.
Fever was so high, but she didn't want to expose anyone. I know she's in heaven now, so that's where I find peace now.
Mason's funeral will be held this Saturday in High Point, North Carolina. In lieu of flowers, the family is asking mourners to donate to Helping Haywood. If you would like to donate, we'll have a link on our website, WLOS.com.
Community members come out in full force today to help victims from last week's deadly flooding in Haywood County. At Bethel Baptist Church, volunteers brought supplies by the truckloads. 5 people were killed in that storm. 1 person is still missing.
Crews are still working to figure out the full extent of the damage. News 13's Rex Hodge reports on the repair work underway.
To give you an idea what a lot of flood victims are having to do, they're having to rip up the flooring, put it out here on the street corner for pickup.
It's bad.
That's how Jim Queen describes the flooding from Tropical Storm Fred 1 week ago at his house along the Pigeon River in Canton.
Water was coming up everywhere. 2004, the water got up to about here then.
His house soaked, nothing could be done but to pull out the wooden flooring, dry things out, and start the repair work.
Everything in there is going to have to be replaced.
I got you some masks because I know you're going to need that.
The American Red Cross going door to door to help.
We gave them tubs, garbage bags, hand cleaner, cleaning kits for the house, trash bags, rakes, shovels, gloves.
Well, they brought me stuff that I really need.
I'm already dirty, it doesn't matter to me.
A check also on a neighboring flood victim.
He come all the way into my driveway.
Bruce Sharp with gratitude.
They do a good, outstanding job.
Damage remains to homes, businesses, and roads. The DOT reports more than 200 damaged roads in western North Carolina, ranging from small washouts to bridge replacements. Highway 276 from Bethel into Caruso remains closed, open only to crews and locals. The speed limit dropped to 35 to increase safety.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
No, it's all God.
It is all God.
Bethel Baptist Church continues collecting donations for those in need. People helping from near and far, including a man driving a trailer full from his church in Louisiana, wanting to reciprocate after flooding they had endured 5 years ago.
Any opportunity to give back. There were so many people like this that came to our aid.
Needs remain, big and small.
Somebody came through this morning and I said, what do you need? And they said, listen, if you could give me a house.
Jim Queen works on his house, hoping state and federal aid will come.
It would be nice.
Queen is obviously having to live someplace else right now, but once his house is fixed, he says he has no other choice and will move back in.
And 1 week later, communities across the mountains are still cleaning up after devastating flooding. And it's a long road ahead for one Candler business that saw mass amounts of water just pouring in.
News 13's Anjali Patel explains what's giving them hope as they pick up the pieces.
These are the only items that survived the flooding here last Tuesday at Pam's Pet Center. But the only thing that was on the employees' minds that night was getting the pets that were trapped here to safety. At Pam's Pet Center, this Tuesday was spent cleaning up the damage left from last Tuesday. And there's a lot of it.
The water outside was rushing so fast and it was higher than it was inside the shop, and inside the shop it was just dark, and it was just like eerie and calm, and you could hear the window creaking and cracking where the water was pushing against it.
Manager Christy Welch says the water that night was up to her chest, but with 9 animals in there, she knew she couldn't leave them behind.
The neighbor behind us brought me a ladder, and we broke the back window out and actually climbed through the little bitty back window. And I started passing dogs out to my son, and his 2 friends were on the bank, and we sort of had a bucket gang just shooting dogs up the railroad tracks.
You got hair all over yourself.
She says all but 2 chihuahuas made it out alive.
It was awful. It's actually a picture that I can't get out of my head.
And she was so upset she couldn't bring herself to go back to the building the next day.
It wasn't until the Thursday after that that it really fully sank in what had happened and how much we had to clean up.
They lost a lot that night, but on a floating table, their grooming equipment survived.
I'm keeping that table. That's the greatest table on earth right now.
Seemingly a sign that Pam's Pet Center is far from done.
It was our sign. Okay, you need to get back up and going.
So they're still grooming away, just on Welch's front porch for now.
How'd that feel?
Now, 3 Buncombe County Sheriff's deputies, Jeff Lynn, Darius Davidson, and Robert Foster, helped employees get those pets out last Tuesday. Pam's Pet Center is expected to reopen sometime next week.